Hi, I'm Machine Pun Kelly, aka MPK, and today I want to talk about tariffs. Donald Trump is ready to impose tariffs on Mexico and Canada on top of the tariffs he's already imposed. Still more could be coming, as he has suggested placing tariffs on the European Union, Japan, and India. He claims the country will benefit in the long run, but is he right or wrong? Let's dive in and find out. What is a tariff? Simply put, a tariff is a tax imposed by a government on goods imported from another country, often used to protect domestic industries, generate revenue, or influence trade policies. Tariffs can be assessed by product or country. So a country could put tariffs on whatchacallits from everywhere, everything from Germany, or just whatchacallits from Germany. So who pays the tariff? A lot of time is spent on discussing who pays for a tariff, but it's actually a very simple answer. Directly. The person doing the importing does. For example, Bob owns Bob's Import and Export Company. A shipment of whatchacallits arrives at the shipping port. Before that shipment can be released, Bob has to pay customs and border protection to release the shipment. However, who ultimately pays is a bit different. Bob has three options. 1. Bob can offer to pay the exporter less to offset his cost. So if there were a 25% tariff, he could lower his offer from $100 to $80. His final cost and his customer's cost wouldn't change. 2. Bob could elect to just take the loss. 3. Bob can pass it on to the next person, selling his product for 25% more. When the importer sells it to the distributor, who then sells it to the retailer, who then sells it to the customer, there is a chance at each step for the actor to either eat or pass on the cost. The degree of the cost which the final customer at the point of sale is called the pass-through rate. In 2024, 100% of the cost was paid for by the final consumer, per a study by Yale. So you might astutely ask, why have tariffs in the first place? And some people have pointed out that Joe Biden didn't remove all of Trump's tariffs and imposed some of his own. Barack Obama assessed tariffs. They might ask, why are tariffs only bad when Trump does them? And that's a good question. Tariffs are like fire, in that they can be useful, but only if you apply them reasonably. Fire is great for cooking, but as long as you keep it to your stove and grill. You don't want to set your house on fire to roast hot dogs. Tariffs can be useful, but misapplied or recklessly applied, they can be like setting your house on fire to roast hot dogs. Tariffs raise prices because that's what they are designed to do. But sometimes you want to. For example, let's say a country wants to build up its shoe industry, so they put a 25% tariff on shoes. This gives domestic shoe producers the chance to compete by selling their shoes at a lower price. Then, once the domestic shoe industry gets a foothold, pun intended, you remove the tariff. You also have to be prudent in how you go about assessing tariffs. For example, if you put a tariff on the shoes, but you put tariffs on the cloth, the shoelaces, the plastic used for the eyelets, and the rubber, the cost of manufacturing the shoes will go up, so you lose the advantage you might have gained. If the shoe costs 25% more to make, you're not making it easier to sell shoes. Another thing to consider is industry viability. Do you have enough people that want the product you're selling? Can you produce it and sell it at a competitive rate without tariffs? Will people change careers to manufacture and sell it? Will it be more viable for them to do so? You should know the answers to all these questions before you assess a tariff. And you need to consider what impact your tariffs will have on other domestic industries. For example, a tariff on the cost of steel could raise steel prices, which would in turn affect the cost of new cars because they use steel. If that happens, any job gains in the steel industry could be lost in the auto industry. There could also be mitigating factors. For example, with the steel industry, recycling diminished the need for new steel. Also, you have to consider competitors and what they're doing. Brazil is over-manufacturing steel, which lowers the international cost, which diminishes U.S. exports. The other problem that arises is that other countries can place retaliatory tariffs on American products as well, as has already become the practice in Canada and Mexico. That can be compounded with other countries having national pride. For example, Canadians have started to turn U.S. products upside down as an indication to not buy them. This can only hurt exporters and manufacturers. These things can be seen in Trump's 2018 steel and aluminum tariffs, which went through a number of changes. They had the effect of raising the cost of steel by 1.8%, a one-year bump in production, and it cost $75,000 in other manufacturing jobs with steel parts as people lost jobs due to the increased cost of steel. They can only be viewed as having a net negative on the economy. While Trump likes to talk about McKinley's glory years to justify his tariff love, there are three things he should know. 1. McKinley actually led us into a recession. 2. Nearly half our revenue came from excise taxes on things like alcohol and tobacco. 3. The 16th Amendment, which gave the government the ability to collect income taxes, had not been passed yet. In conclusion, Donald Trump is wrong. He is wrong about everything about tariffs. He's wrong about who pays them. He's wrong about what they do. He's wrong about McKinley. He's wrong about how he's implementing them. He's wrong about starting an international trade war. The trade war will start a recession, if not worse, and it will happen sooner rather than later.